Click. Welcome back. We're doing some deck building and we're playing some Exalted Darkness. Just finished off kicking myself in the fucking teeth for losing like something like a little bit more than 1.5 hours of gameplay footage for Sleeping Dogs, which I just recorded, or so I thought. So I have the audio and nothing else. So I need to redo that, but the problem is that I saved I saved on top of my previous save file. So that makes it really difficult. But back to this game. Yeah, let me just show you like I've done previously. I'll show you which cards I haven't included in this deck and which cards that I include in this deck. And this one is interesting because it's the only, as you know, the only dual color decks in the format. It is, in my opinion, a really good deck, and it is really it has some amazing strength to it, but it also has some really clear-cut weaknesses. And along with me testing out Born of Flames, testing out Exalted Darkness made me very aware that that there are some decks that simply don't, which are simply not a very good matchup against each other, and I'll get into that more hopefully in my upcoming series, Boons, Banes and Beasts, which is all about the strengths and weaknesses of individual decks. But before this becomes all talk and blabber, I will dive right into it. First, the cards that I chose not to add to the deck. I've chose to take out all the Evolving Wilds, and I know it's a bit of a risk because you might not get the mana that you need, but I think with this deck, you're pretty much, because of the terrible algorithm, you're pretty much forced into considering the hand, like your starting hand every time. Like you have to mulligan it down because you can't go with a hand that doesn't have black or white, or at least one color and a lot of drops in that color. So yeah, Evolving Wilds, I think it takes up too much space. It's too slow, and this deck needs to get off the ground quickly. So I took out all the Evolving Wilds, and I've done so in the previous formats as well. I hate these cards. I really do. Like, unless, of course, you have like a landfall effect, but you have no landfall effects in this deck, so it's, in my opinion, useless. Sigil of Distinction is... I could definitely see if you don't like the card, but I kind of like it. I think it is a neat effect that that the equip cost is remove a charge counter. The problem is that for it to be really effective, you have to have a lot of lands down, and in this deck, as soon as you have like a handful of lands down, you're going to use them every round because you want to be able to drop a you want to be able to drop more of those Exalted guys, and yeah. So basically, I think there's a case to be made for it, but oh, and another thing, you only have one, and count them, one opportunity of getting trample with this deck, and it comes in the shape of an equipment. So and it's not this one. So making your guys bigger, well, your Exalted cross-buffering thing will do that. I could definitely see people making the case that your cars, your creatures are such weenies that in order to, for example, counter Born of Flames or something else that'll do point damage to your creatures, you could use this card to keep some of your creatures around, but yeah, I think it's too slow in that. Even as that, like if you're concentrating on protecting your creatures, you're not playing this deck right. Like individually, Duty Bound Dead. I understand if people want to run for them. I didn't have room for it, but I understand it because since you're only going to be attacking with one creature, you might as well get a lot of creatures down that serves as blockers with the possibility of regenerate. Even though it's expensive, it does help you out. But who just gives you a point extra of Exalted. That is great. And it only costs one, so you can drop them really, really early and start swinging in really early. Like a 0-2 that the next round can swing in for 1-3, or if you drop another Exalted 2-4, that's pretty good, I would say, from the first round. So the reason I took this out is because there's also a white 1-drop, and I didn't want too many of the I wanted a lot of cheap 1-drops, but the two cost early drops are really good. So I didn't want too many 1-drops since they're not amazing. But yeah, you definitely want some of them, and the deck comes with the possibility of adding 4. So yeah, 1 or 2 is enough for me at least. Seize the Initiative is a trick, and while I might want tricks in other decks, and I do want some tricks in this deck, I would rather play this deck as a control deck. So the trick is not that good either. It's a +1/+1 with first strike, which is sort of okay, seeing that most of your creatures, especially early on, do not have they're just weenie creatures. But it will only get you out of that one bad combat situation. It will not help your creature further, and yeah, I think it's you just get much better cards that you can add in. So no, thank you. Tormented Soul. Perhaps I'm an idiot for not adding it to the deck. Perhaps it is a vital option because you want a lot of unblockable, especially since there are decks, for example, like let me see, I believe it is the Dream Puppets with or maybe it's no, I think it's Crosswinds that have the fog that does no combat damage and does not receive combat damage, and you want to get when you get those when you get a lot of exalted creatures and a lot of exalted effects down on the board, you really want your creature to get directly through to the face of your opponent, and Tormented Soul would do that, but I just didn't feel like I had the room for it, and it's not exalted, so I chose to use artifacts, and I chose to use flying as my entry to the face of the opponent. Yeah. Aven Squire, I run a few of them. I think, yeah, I run 3 of them. You could take out one Aven Squire and put in a Tormented Soul, but Aven Squire is flying, and that's why I run it. Otherwise, it's pretty unspectacular. Darklit Gargoyle, I think, is pretty useless. You have Exalted that's going to buff your creature, and your problem is not going to be doing enough damage. Your problem is rather a question of being able to get through, being able to run through to your opponent and past his creatures and doing some damage to the face of your opponent. So yeah, it's a flyer though, so I can see why you would want to bring it in, but I think the Aven Squire is better because it has Exalted, so you can choose to attack with it, or you could choose to hold back and just Exalt buff your creatures. Doomblade, I don't think, no, I run one of them because of course it's an amazing card, but as soon as you play black, it's absolutely useless. And as soon as the next DLC comes, there's gonna be two more decks with black creatures. I think it's the black green and black red decks. So yeah, that's and in the next DLC after that, there's going to be black blue and black think also maybe another black white if they don't choose to add in another monocolored deck. but black, blue, and black. Why can't I remember stuff? No, no. I guess that's it. Yeah, but it's certainly like an amazing card, definitely. But if you play the mirror or you play Obedient Dead, then this card is absolutely useless, especially against Obedient Dead. Mighty Leap, the same as with Seize the Initiative. +2/+2 gains flying until end of turn. That's going to be one attack, and it might really help you out. It might be a difference maker in one game, but that's perhaps one game out of 10. I want something more consistent. Pacifism is a great card, but there are a lot of board effects that are gonna help your opponent out, even if the creature can't attack or block, but just stay on the board. So I preferred to put my trust in different kind of removal, and you'll see I have a lot of removal in my deck. The rings, I don't run the rings, but yeah, I'm not as oblivious to the fact why people run them as some other YouTube commentators, because even though they're slow, they do help you out. And even if if you keep moving them around and you just, give one creature +1/+1, then the next +2/+2, then the next +1/+1, one creature dies before it gets a buff, you still get the regenerate, and you make your board presence a little bit more intimidating. I still think it's too slow. I still think it's I don't think it's good enough. But I can definitely see why people run it, because it annoys the shit out of me, and it sometimes wrecks me if I can't do anything about it. Not just this ring, but all the rings. But especially this ring and the blue one that gives your guy hexproof. That is a killer. But the thing that makes this especially insignificant in this deck is that it only buffs your black creatures, so you only get the regenerate effect, which is decent, no question about it. You could definitely make the case that if you want to run in with your Exalted creatures and you're playing green, for example, and don't want to lose your creatures to green and double blocks and so on, you want to give them regenerate. But yeah, I don't know. I choose not to run it, and I choose not to run the other rings, because I think that once you go down that route, you are departing from especially the strategies that I'm trying to put together with my decks. Spirit Mantle. I don't care much about the +1/+1, but I care. I like the has protection from creatures a bit. That will help you out against some creatures, will not help you out against black, which has a lot of removal. It will not help you out against Peacekeepers, which has a lot of enchantment removals. It will not help you out against red, which has a lot of direct damage removal, and same with the goblins. A little bit insignificant, and there's 3 of them. I can't see why in the world there would be 3 of them, because it's easy to remove your creatures, unless, of course, you're playing green. But yeah, I don't think it's good enough. Dagger Claw Imp can't block, which is a huge, caveat. I guess I could say it makes the creature so much worse that you can't block with it. It's nice that you can get in for 3/1, but you're going to get big creatures anyway. It doesn't have Exalted, so get the fuck out. Seriously. Guardians of Akrasa, I think I might run one. Either that or I took it out. I think I might run one, and the reason that I run one instead of 0, because I don't see the reason for running more than that, is that it will be immensely useful for the fact that it gives you Exalted, and you're not supposed to attack with all your exalted creatures anyway. And it gives you a 0/4 against goblins. I think of course, goblins will be able to do 4 or more damage, but a lot of the goblins cap at, or not cap, but it's like it's an artificial cap at around 3 power after buffs, unless you have a significant amount of goblin war chiefs or something down. Or yeah, it will definitely be very helpful as a manner of controlling and keeping your opponents at bay and so on. It's not very helpful against green, at least not when we get into turn 4, 5, 6. Then this card will be just get run over. Yeah. Here's another one, 3/1 Exalted. Too expensive, and it doesn't really do anything except for being exalted. I would rather run some of the knights that are two drops, has exalted and protection from black or white. I think those cards are amazing. They're only 2/1s, but they are amazing. I would rather run the Aven Squire, I think it's called. I just mentioned it a second ago, sorry. I would rather run that because it has flying and exalted, and it's, even though it's only a 1/1, it's a 2-drop. The flying bit just makes it more attractive. The only reason I could see running Servant of Nephrox is in the beginning of the match, in the 3rd round, and if your opponent doesn't have anything significant down, and then afterwards, it's a decent blocker to get rid of those 2 toughness, 3 toughness creatures, all for double blocking, and you get 3 power for that. But I don't really want to focus on double blocking too much. As you'll see when I show you which cards I added to the deck. I don't think this is good enough, so yeah. Whispersilk Cloak, I'm still considering running both of them. I'm running one of them because it makes my creature unblockable and gives it Shroud. Shroud is good, at least against black and red. For the rest of it, it's just decent. Blue for the bounce and white for the Journey to Nowhere and Obsidian, not Obsidian Ring. Is it? Oblivion Ring, I think it's called. Yeah. But aside from that, it's all about the unblockable. It's a little expensive, 3 equipped 2. It's not that it's an expensive card. It's expensive considering that a lot of the time you will not draw a lot of lands, as you will see. One thing I want to show you right here and now is that a lot of decks run 24 lands or 25. This deck runs 20, which makes it much really fast when you get the lands from the beginning, but very slow and ineffective when you don't get the lands. That's why you want to mulligan a lot with this deck. And the algorithm is just screwing this deck, which is a huge shame. Another thing, you see the land, 12 swamps, 8 plains. I've tried to take out black creatures that and the effect it had was that it gave me another black land, or it took away another plains, which is absolutely insane. It makes no sense. So the algorithm for this deck is so screwed up that it's ridiculous. Okay, Angel's Benediction. I'm still considering running one more. I'm running one of them. You have the option of running 4. You never need 4. Like, okay, it's difficult to remove enchantments in this format, and it gives your guys Exalted, plus it makes you tap another creature. But I have the Deathbringer Lieges, which also have a similar effect when you cast white spells. And I also run the Royal Assassin. So the combination is very good. Like, you attack, tap a creature, and kill it with the Royal Assassin. If somebody makes you or dispels your or disenchants is what it's called, like the old school card disenchant, your Angelic Benediction, then you don't have that option anymore. But then again, Royal Assassin is a really fragile card against some of the decks, at least with direct removals. So yeah, there's that. Duskmantle Prowler is pretty good because it has haste and it's a 2/2 with Exalted, but a 4-drop. It's too expensive. Get the fuck out. There's a possibility of running 2 Silent Arbiters. Of course, I only run one because if I have one on the table and I draw another one, I get sad because it's useless as long as you have one already. But it can be your savior. It can really save you against like goblins or some of the green decks or peacekeepers. If they have no means of removing the Silent Arbiter, they can only attack and block with one creature. And you, of course, have Exalted, which makes your creatures huge. And their creatures are just the size they are. So this is an amazing card. Plus, it's 1/5. Which makes it a very, very decent blocker, especially when they're not able to attack with more than one creature. Divinity of Pride, I only run one. It's really, really good, but it's not good enough to run two because there are times where you'll find yourself struggling to get it down. 4/4 Flying Lifelink is pretty good. It's very good if you get up to 25 life, but against some decks, it's never going to be relevant because they will have means of dealing with you having 25 or more lives at this point. But it's not impossible, as you'll see when I return to which cards that I actually do run. Nephrox, Overlord of Grixis, I had a lot of doubts if I wanted to run this card or not. Because it's Exalted, it's flying, and its ability is really amazing. When Nephrox, Overlord of Grixis, attacks alone, defending player sacrifices a creature, and that is awesome. Especially like if you have a combination of this guy and you have the Angelic Benediction, then you attack, tap down a creature, and then the guy sacks a creature. Usually, or not usually, but sometimes. You tapping down one of the opponent's creatures will kind of make him sack that creature just because he can't block with it. So you kind of get to do a little bit of manipulation, although that a good player might not fall for those tricks. But it's still a little bit of psychology in that. But the thing is that it's expensive, and 20 lands, 20 fucking lands. No way. There are many times where you get the opportunity of dropping it, but if you lose it again, then it's too many eggs, or it's just one big egg that takes up a lot of your basket. It's a really, really good card. Let's not get fooled by the fact that it's expensive. It's really good. 5/5 for 6 with all of these abilities, but it's too expensive, so no. Angel of Despair, equally amazing, and it destroys the target permanent when it enters the battlefield. Equally amazing, but it costs 7. It costs fucking 7. So, no. Depth's Knell is interesting, but it also costs 7, so it's not in the deck. At the beginning of your upkeep, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. I like the theme with all the turquoise, I think that's what it's called, the colors, like the green bluish colors, with this deck, like with the black white colors. But yeah. Anyways, it's pretty decent, but it's too much of a late game card, and although it's nice control, it's a nice control card. You will hate yourself for putting it in your deck if it's in your starting hand, or if it's one of the first 5 cards you draw, because it's so much of a late game card, and the chance of you drawing 7 lands or a starting hand with a decent amount of lands, and then afterwards the rest of your 7 lands, it's just not that big. So it's too much of a late card or late game deck, or late game card for you to want to consider running it, or at least for me to want to consider running it. So those are the cards that I didn't bring. What did I bring? As you'll see, I have 2 0 drops, 4 1 drops, 14 2 drops, 11 3 drops, 5 4 drops, 4 5 drops, and nothing above. I want to keep it light and plenty of feet, and also a lot of control. That's why I have 55% creatures and 45% other. Some of the other is this card, 2 Cathedral of War. Simply for the fact, one of the reasons that make Angelic Benediction good is not for the tapping effect. That's secondary. It's a little expensive, it costs 4, but it is that it's an enchantment that does Exalted. And that requires a very specific effect to, like a disenchantment effect, that some of the decks don't have, and some decks only have in a very limited amount. So that makes it difficult to remove, and that makes your creatures bigger when they attack passively, which is awesome. The same with the Cathedral of War. There are not a lot of cards in each deck, and in some decks none at all, that will take away your lands. So this gives you another effect, Exalted effect, that is difficult to remove. It doesn't help you much that it's that it comes in tapped, and it's only colorless mana, but it does help a little that it gives you some mana. And let me correct myself. There's actually 22 lands in the deck running this one. So yeah. Run 2 of them. I think they're pretty good, but you have to be strategic about when you drop them, because you want to get off to a running start. So Akrasan Squire is the card I talked about. I wanted to have less duty bound dead and a little bit more white cards in the deck, just to keep the planes up. Not that it helped a lot though. This is why this is one of the reasons I run Akrasan Squire instead of more duty-bound deads. Another reason is that it's 1 in the front, so it comes in with more damage early on. So yeah, that's part of the reason. Duty-bound dead, already talked about that. Aven Squire, the same, I already talked about that. Like, I need a lot of weenies with Exalted, because then I can drop them early. I can keep dropping them whenever I draw cards, and just give me a lot of Exalted during the game. So those are 7 of the weenies with Exalted. Here's a guy who doesn't have Exalted. Child of Night, run both of them, because when you have those cheap Exalted cards, this guy becomes big, and it helps you in your control and stall game, having a huge lifelink guy coming to the opponent's side and doing some havoc, bringing back a little bit of that vitae, a little bit of that life to your life total. So this will actually keep you going for quite a while. This is this particular guy is the fuel of your deck, at least if you want to go mid to long game or medium to long game. Demonic Tutor is both an amazing card and a bit of a failsafe. You can take it out if you have more confidence in your deck, but if you need something specific, this is your guy, or this is your card, this is your spell. Sometimes it will even be viable to go get a plains or even a swamp, because, yeah, the algorithm of this game and the algorithm of this deck, say no more. Doomblade, great card, already talked about it. Knight of Glory, really good card, just like Knight of Infamy. Really good cards, because they're 2/1s with Exalted, cost 2 to drop, and they have protection from white and black, which makes them invaluable against white and black, and it gives you that unblockable creature that you really need. So really, really good card. Can only be removed with by those particular colors with mass removal. Mark of Asylum is in for one purpose and one purpose only. It is to deal with the red deck, Born of Flames. When you drop this card, you're going to have a much better chance of surviving. That's for sure. Pacifism, already talked about it. It's a decent card. Some cases it's really, really good. Other cases it can't dig you over if you only have pacifism as removal. So you want a little bit of you want a little bit of you want some alternatives to this card. But this guy is good for tying down those damn phoenixes that keep coming back, or like the phoenix that explodes in 3 damage to all faces and all creatures. Talked about this already. Pretty good card. Another removal spell. Destroy target creature or enchantment. And it's instant speed, which makes it amazing. I like it. I like it a lot. You kill those creatures and you destroy those enchantments. It's very necessary to have this alternative. Pillory of the Sleepless is a good card. It is pretty much the same as pacifism, except that it puts your opponent on a very extensive clock. Sometimes a less extensive clock, and sometimes it really squeezes the life out of him, especially if he's already down to like 8 or something life. Then this card will make it very difficult for him and make him make some different decisions than he would have made. Royal Assassin is very fragile, 1/1, but it is absolutely fucking amazing. I used to, in the 90s, I used to run a kind of a control deck, which was a black and blue, lots of counter spells, lots of curses. Back then you had a lot of enchant lands that you could put on. Like you could turn your opponent's I think it's called Phantasmal Land. Yeah, I think you could turn your opponent's basic land into, or land into any basic land that you wanted. You had I think it's called Psychic Venom, that when you tapped the land, it gave your opponent 2 damage. So pretty much he would suffer every time he casted a spell unless he had more mana. And there were also the curses that pretty much I think it's called Cursed Land. It gives you 1 damage each turn, and it enchants a land. Yeah, so that was part of it, and then I ran some Prodigal Sorcerers, which is like Prodigal Pyromancers, except they're blue, dings you for 1 damage, and then I ran quite a few of these Royal Assassins, and also some Vidurian, no, that's Vidurian Enchantress. I forget what it's called, but it's like it's a creature similar to this. It's like a think it was a 1/1, no, maybe a 0/2 sorcerer, black sorceress, that you tapped it and target creature became a 0/2 until end of turn, and like that creature was all about controlling your opponent's creatures and just removing everything, countering everything. But I ran like. That was a long story just to get to my point. I ran a lot of the Royal Assassins just because it's fucking amazing. It's really, really good. It makes it so that your opponent finds it very difficult to attack, because you have a choice of which creature you want to kill off as long as you have the Royal Assassin down and ready to be tapped. It makes it so that the AI of this game will, in the most ridiculous situations, refuse to attack, even though he has a lot of creatures to attack you with, and he can easily afford to lose 1 each turn. So yeah, it's a great card. This is probably the final unlock. I think maybe it's unlock number 30 or 29 or something. And I had totally forgotten about it, even though I've unlocked every card in my in the Xbox version of the game. I thought that there was absolutely no first strike or trample in this deck, no possibility of gaining those abilities, but this is the only way of gaining trample. If it didn't say trample down in the text, I would not run it, because it's fairly insignificant. Of course, the vigilance is nice, the first strike and the haste and everything is nice, the +2/+0, but your creatures are not going to be big guys, they're going to be weenies. So you're not going to be doing a lot of blocking anyway. Although the first strike +2/+0 combination is decent when you want to For example, make your Knights of Glory or Knights of Infamy into 4/1s with first strike, and make it so that they have vigilance, so you can both attack and block with them. But the trampling is where the rubber meets the road, because your creatures are sometimes going to be so huge, and they can be blocked, chump blocked with a 1/1. So the trample is just going to make all the difference in the world. And you don't need more of them. You just need this card down on the table and attached to whichever creature you're going to attack with for a while. You can attach it to your Child of Night and just do a lot of damage, because it has first strike and trample, and the creature itself has lifelink, and it has vigilance for that matter. So you can just gain a lot of life and make your opponent's life a living hell until he finds a way to remove your creature. So yeah, that's the reason I run Sword of Vengeance, even though I think it's a little bit expensive. Unmake, I run all of them. Read my lips, all of them. The most amazing removal card, creature removal card. It doesn't destroy, it fucking exiles target creature. It costs 3, but it's you can cast any combination, like 3 planes, 1 plane, 2 swarms, and etc., etc., etc. It's really, really good. It doesn't have any conditions. Like you can kill off artifacts creatures or exile artifacts creatures. You can exile black creatures, white creatures, zombies, vampires, whatever. You can do whatever with this card as long as it's a creature and the creature can be targeted. So this is amazing, and it will definitely help you out. It will take away those damn phoenixes as well. And any other card that keeps coming back, like anybody who's foolish enough to run the Veilborn Ghoul, he gets punished with this card. Vindicate is good because it destroys target permanent. That's about it. It's sorcery, so it's not fast. The Unmake is an instant, which is just amazing. But I run both Vindicates because I want to be able to take out lands, enchantments, artifacts, and creatures. And all those options, yeah, this card is pretty fucking good. Here's the Whispersilk Cloak. You gotta run one of them. You definitely gotta run at least one of them. I might at some point run 2 of them. But the unblockable thing is just, it's not only tempting, it's necessary. And the Shroud deal will help you out against some decks. So yeah, pretty necessary in this deck. Angelic Benediction, run only one of them. Might be a mistake, but it's a little expensive. You don't want to be caught. Don't want to be caught dead, because you will be dead with too many of these in your hand. Like, you need something with feet, and this helps your creatures out. But it's too expensive to run too many of them. No Mercy, on the other hand, is phenomenal. This is another card that makes it difficult for your opponent to attack you, because as soon as that creature gives you damage, it's gone. So this is the more reason to take a little bit of damage just to get rid of his creatures, because you're only going to take damage once, unless of course they have regenerate. But that's going to tie up some of their mana, and yeah. Blah blah blah. Silent Arbiter, already talked about it. It's necessary to run at least one, I think, especially because it's very controlly. Sublime Archangel is so fucking broken. It gives even your exalted creatures exalted. So all your creatures except for Sublime Archangels, if they have exalted, will buff your attacking creatures twice, and Sublime Archangel will do it once. That is just it's so unsatisfactory to be against this deck and see your opponent run Sublime Archangel, because it changes the game so much. But whenever you draw this card and whenever you're able to put it down and they're not able to remove it fast enough, everything just feels good. Just feels so good. Worship, still considering not running it, but I'm running it as a failsafe, pretty much. There are enough there is enough mass removal to just completely dick you over, and then you have no creatures, and they can just do that one damage to your face when you're down to 1 hit point, thanks to this card. Well, not thanks to this card, but instead of having died. But still, it's a very insane card as long as you have that one creature, because you can't die. So that's amazing. But at the same time, a little expensive. The condition is not very appealing. But at this point, I feel like I have to run it, basically. Battlegrace Angel, another crazy card. Flying Exalted. It's not as insane as what's the name of it? As Sublime Archangel, but it's pretty good. It makes your creatures lifelink if they attack Exalted. So Flying Exalted and lifelink is pretty good, I would say. The lifelink mechanism is really good for this deck. And we're moving in on the final creatures, Deathbringer Liege. It's really good. It will be removed so fast that it'll make your head spin, because nobody likes this deck, this creature, and I can see why. This guy, and then the Unmake, which is white and black, will have you tap a creature and destroy the tapped creature. So you remove 2 creatures. It's fucking amazing. This creature is so good. So good. So good it's unfair. And it buffs all your creatures all across the board, which makes it phenomenal. Yeah, it's really good, and in conjunction with the Royal Assassin, it's very good. It makes this deck very controlling. You could not run these, and you could not run the Royal Assassin and a few other things, and you could go for you could put in Nephrox, and you can put in Servant of Nephrox and a few other Exalted creatures. Make it much more heavy on the Exalted effects, but I think for this deck to be very effective, you need it to be very controlling, because the cards you have at your disposal will definitely give you that opportunity to construct the deck in a way that it's incredibly controlling and give you the possibilities of just taking away every possible offense that most decks have. But yeah, you also need a few like bigger creatures that is within your range. And when I say within your range, I mean within your mana range, like realistically. So you also need your Divinity of Pride, which is a good card when it works, and for the rest of the for the rest of the day, it's just going to be that annoying card in your hand that you don't that it's difficult to drop quick enough. Say like Angel of Despair is even worse, Nephrox slightly worse, but yeah, you need bigger creatures that can't be removed with like that easily, at least, and that's your Divinity of Pride. Not that there's not ways of removing it, but yeah, definitely, and your Deathbringer Liege and so on. If you need something that's slightly bigger than Weenie. But aside from that, that is my deck, and I hope you like it. And please leave a response. Tell me if you like my build, if you run it differently, if you think it's ridiculous. Like, everything helps out, and I'd like to learn. I'd like to hear your opinion. I could definitely see how you could run this this deck differently, also without compromising on the control deck theme of the deck that I'm trying to run. But I can also definitely see you running this card differently and making it entirely different from the control deck theme that I'm running. Make it, for example, more Weenie heavy, more focused on the Exalted and the unblockable deal. But yeah, it's a lot of it is a matter of taste, and a lot of it is a matter of temperament, and I like it this way. So let me know what you think. Leave a like if you liked it, and look forward to hearing from you guys. I'll have some gameplay videos up during the week. This video might be a little bit late because I'm at a conference this week, and I will not be back until the weekend. So yeah, bear with me if it's a little slow. I try to get the deck building videos up on Wednesday, and then during the next couple of days drop 1, 2, or 3 gameplay videos where I showcase the deck in actual multiplayer matches. But like I said before, I'll try also to have a video, a series that I'm trying to put together, which is a little bit of work. Like, it can't be a lot of work to put this specific thing together, but it's called, like I said before, Boons, Banes, and Beasts, and it's going to be about the weaknesses showcased and the strength showcased about like individual decks. And I have a feeling that Born of Flame is going to be used as the bane of this deck's existence. So yeah. So again, like my third time saying goodbye. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. So adios.